I think my brand and my aesthetic as a whole is updated traditional interiors. So there's lots of wallpaper, there's lots of pattern, but a lot of these wallpapers, the aesthetic, the design of it could go back decades, centuries, but they're just updated and modernized so the everyday person could live with them. And I put in little pops of antiques or vintage pieces along the way that I find, and so it doesn't feel so new. If you want white walls, like, I'm not your designer. Hi, I'm Marisa of Marisa Orlich Interiors. I'm a residential interior designer, and I create spaces of relaxation and entertainment for busy executives and families who do not have the time to do it for themselves.
Welcome. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast. I'm looking forward to hearing your story. I've met several interior designers in my space between the line of work that I am in with this particularly, but also in my previous I guess we could say previous life of the music industry when I've hosted concerts and stuff and put on concerts. I've spoken with interior designers to create the right vibe, and it's incredible how much their expertise can change the atmosphere of a place. So I admire the work you do, and I also don't envy the work you do because it's a little stressful, particularly with the fact that people are particular. So
Right.
One of the questions I want to start off with is how do you manage your expertise with some people's particular desires?
Particular desires or styles? Is
Yeah,
that what
sure,
you mean?
styles, I guess. Or I guess the real heart of it is the unexpressed desires. So
Yes.
they don't necessarily know how to express it, or they have a certain vision in their mind, but they don't know how to tell you, and then how do you pull that out of them?
So a lot of managing clients' expectations is listening to them and listening to what they're saying, but also what they're not saying, because they want you to create the space, for example, let's say a dining room, but you really need to know how they're using this dining room. Is it for intimate gatherings of just the family of 6, or are they hosting the entire corporate team every other month at their home? So it's really, you have to ask like detailed questions and understand what these spaces are being used for. And every space I design is tailored to that person or family in itself and what their needs are.
How did you get into the industry?
How did I get into the industry? It just happened. I have always loved art and patterns and color. And I was working at different places. I was working in a kitchen and bath place. I was working for a window treatment store. And then I just started getting clients on the side and was really doing these large scale projects, and was like, oh, this is a business. Like this, I could do something out of it. So it started off like window treatments, reupholstering things, doing a little backsplash design, and then it just kind of grew into bathrooms and renovations, and getting known for large renovation projects is what I do a lot more of.
Are you working directly with the clients, or do you typically work with GCs? What does the process look like with that?
So I typically work with the clients. The clients hire me, and then they might have a contractor or they might have the subcontractors, and we work together, but I do a lot of project managing for them. So I work directly with the contractor in creating the space or the schedule of it.
How long have you been in the industry for?
I've been in business about 7 years, I think, but I've been doing like in the industry for at least like over a decade.
I want to talk about changes, and I'm curious how your vision has changed, but also how you've noticed trends in the industry change.
People are very influenced by what they see on screens, and having actually worked in magazines for a little bit, people don't live in magazines all the time. Like when we do a design for a magazine, we bring things in, we take things out. There's a lot of editing and curation to make the space really perfect and uniformed. And I think people see these things on social media, and I can create a reel and it is 30 seconds long, but it took over 6 months or a year to get to there. So I think people managing the expectations is also a huge component of it.
So when you say that they're influenced by screens or media or stuff like that, Is that like social media, or is that movies and things like that as well, or what is
I
it?
think more so social media. I think there's a lot of influencers who might not have a background in design, but they have the opportunity and have created things, and they just say, this looks wonderful, this looks great, and they're getting a lot of things from big box stores, which is something that I'm not doing. Everything that I'm getting is direct to the trade or antiques or vintage. I work really hard shopping local on Long Island and trying to curate pieces in people's homes that are unique to them, their aesthetic and their space, and supporting local business at the same time.
No, that's cool. I appreciate that. One of the things I want to talk about influencers, not that I even have a problem with them given my past life on YouTube, but that being said, is one of the things I think of a lot with influencers is we don't necessarily know where they live. And one of the things I think is really interesting in the comparison, I'm just curious on your opinion on this, is we live on Long Island. The housing market already is incredibly expensive. So even if you just bought a home in general,
Right.
you're looking at a significantly higher priced home than the average of the rest of America. And what I find interesting is these influencers, they could live in the middle of Oklahoma, or they could live in the middle of North Dakota, or they could live in North Carolina or anything like that. And they have these huge, beautiful, looks like pretty well curated, modern, white, off-white looking homes. And you see them like, why don't I have that? Meanwhile, they pay $250,000
Right.
because there's nobody around them, or it's an undeveloped town. And I'm just curious your opinion on that.
I think that's the whole HGTV phenomenon, in the sense that you're watching these people who live in places like Texas, and they're doing an entire renovation of a home for $70,000. And I can't even scratch the surface on some components here of a room for that. It really, when you bring all these trades into it, it adds up. And that's just what happens when you're doing large renovations. It's an investment, and it's an investment in your future. It's an investment in your lifestyle, and creating spaces that are curated and creating spaces that are designed well so that you can live your life in them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon that we live in. I like that, though, the HGTV phenomenon, because they're not renovating anything on Long Island or
No.
in Manhattan. It's always these random
I mean,
small towns.
There's real estate shows about real estate in New York City, and you can see how expensive it is, but you don't see a lot of the construction or renovations or how much things cost, or especially after COVID, like the cost of building materials and the cost of wallpaper, or the tariffs right now. Like, everything is just adding line items to it. So it's pivoting in the industry, and it's also trying to buy things that we can get and as locally as possible, and supporting local businesses, and all doing it within the scope of work or the time frame that we have.
I'm curious with the industry that you work in and how things have changed post-COVID pricing. Have your clients understood the difference, or do you try not to pass on the pricing difference to the clients? What does that process look like?
They've understood it. Like, it's so readily talked about on the news and just in everyday conversation, the cost of things. Like, with lead times after COVID, it was quite difficult. I was waiting 8 months for a faucet. So things have gotten substantially better being 5 years out, but you try to do the best you can. Having these relationships with these vendors for the years I've had, it's definitely something that if I can get something graced or waived, I will definitely pass that along to the client. But it's not always, shipping is shipping, and we're not driving to the middle of nowhere to pick it up.
Yeah. So every business has a brand, and every brand is unique. How would you describe your aesthetic or your brand in a couple of words?
I think my brand and my aesthetic as a whole is updated traditional interiors. So there's lots of wallpaper, there's lots of pattern, but a lot of these wallpapers, the aesthetic, the design of it could go back decades, centuries, but they're just updated and modernized so the everyday person could live with them. And I put in little pops of antiques or vintage pieces along the way that I find, and so it doesn't feel so new. I don't want you to go into your home and feel like it's just out of a magazine, or if you want white walls, like, I'm not your designer. Like, that's definitely not my aesthetic. It's very much color and wood paneling and just lots of different beautiful pieces that come together in a way that is traditional but like updated.
What would you like your clients to feel when they first experience the room that they walk in?
My favorite compliment I've ever gotten in my years of business is when my client walked into their home and they said, it feels warm and it feels like home. So we did this renovation for a year, and it was kind of out of the way, so it was the second home, so they didn't go there often. And she said, like, walking in, it just feels so warm and inviting, and like, that was the best compliment I could have, because that's really what I'm trying to create. I'm trying to create spaces that people just want to be in.
Are you a history girl? Are you interested in history?
Yes, I love history.
So I love history as well, but I'm curious the time periods that you're interested in, just as a conversation, just because I found it interesting that you said you're interested in like antiques or pieces that may have been around for decades or many, many decades. And I was curious to see, I feel like you've got to be interested in history if that's the case.
I think because everything comes back again, if you think about it. Like everything, there's no idea that's new, so to say. It's like everything kind of comes around like in a different way, just updated. Like the make of the dress I'm wearing, the shape of it is very much something from the 80s with the wide belt and the cuff sleeves and everything, but it's just modernized with the colorway. So everything is embraced in a different way. And what I love about bringing in antiques or vintage pieces is that you put it next to something new and it's a completely different feel. Or you put a modern vase on top of something that was from the 1900s and it like completely changes the space. Or you have a damask wallpaper and it's in like a beautiful yellow colorway that just brightens the room. So yes, I love history. I love anything.
What kind of history do you like particularly?
I love anything colonial. So any aesthetic from New England I'm really a fan of, like farmhouse salt boxes, like real farmhouse homes with wide planks and everything. I love things like that. And older Victorian houses, I'm quite a fan. So would love to do some historic projects. That would be fun.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. I'm curious. So you'd love to do some historic projects, like you said, but I'm curious the red tape that's involved with that. Is that?
Yes, I mean, when you have a historic project or you're a landmark building or something like that, all of that, there's lots of red tape, there's lots of rules. I mean, that's the same the way working in commercial. There's a list of things that you need to follow. You need certain specs on chair widths, like it's a whole different beast. So, yes.
Yeah, but that is interesting. That'd be kind of like the best of both worlds. You get to restore something vintage and historic, but also
modernize it with some furniture. Like I could see some of your modern furniture in like a historic church redesigned.
What does the process look like? Say somebody calls you later today and says, hey, I'm interested in redoing my bathroom, my kitchen, my whole home. What is the first step, second step, 10th step, final step?
So if someone was to call me this afternoon and wanted to talk about the process of designing their home, what would happen would be we'd get on a discovery call and we might talk for about 15 minutes to 30 minutes about what they're looking to do. And then if we realize that we're matching what they're looking to achieve is something I could help them with, I'll go over for a paid consultation and we'll talk about all the possibilities in their home and what we could do. I just kind of word vomit any ideas and really give free rein on colorways and options and designs and moving things around or any furniture placement. Like really in that consultation, it's talking about what they could do and the possibilities. And then if they like what they hear, then I might go back to my studio and put together a package for them of what it would entail, my design fee for the space. I would present it to them. If they're happy with that number, moving on from there, collect payment, and then we'd have I like to have like 2 to 3 weeks from the time we sign the contract to meeting them. And in that time, I've created a design. I've also had walkthroughs with subcontractors. So if we're doing anything like electricians or plumbers, like we've done a bit of walkthroughs. And then I've the whole design, the whole budget for them to see, and then I present the design. If they're happy with it, then we move forward, and then we schedule all that out. So we schedule whether it's demo, whether it's furniture, I'm ordering furniture, whether it's anyone who needs to come in before moving things, like it all happens. And then we just go through the process. So if we're doing a bathroom, we might have a demo crew, then we'll have sheetrockers and the list, and then we go from there.
How involved are the clients throughout the process?
I'd like them less involved, in the sense that you're hiring a professional. Like when you hire a cardiologist, you don't ask
That's a great analogy.
You don't ask your cardiologist, like, well, what do you think if we did it that way? Or what if you think if we did it that way? So I think because it's such a personal field that I'm in, and I'm in people's homes, and what happens is their guard comes down a little bit because you're more of in a relaxed space. You're not in an office setting. So we're having these meetings, we're talking, their kids might be running in the background, and we're talking about all these things, and you're teaching them to trust you, and that you've done this before, and that there's just like an orchestra, there's a coordination of everyone, and that I'm happy to do it for them, and that's why they hired me.
Yeah. So like we've spoken, you have your style, your interests. What is a particular style that you would love to see more of? And then on the other side, what's one you wish would retire from history and stop coming back?
Sure. I would love to see more of color in people's homes. I think this whole phenomenon of black and white and gray and millwork everywhere is lovely and beautiful, but it creates a bit of a cold space when you walk in. Like some of these undertones of the white are just too harsh. That's why it's good to work with a designer. But I think color, like you can really do a lot of neutrals on your walls, and it creates a space of warmth, and then add in a lot of color, even more earth tones of navies and browns and neutrals that are quite livable. And I think people would embrace color a little bit more. I would love that, if that could be a trend, color. And then the trend happening that I would love to see go away, white houses with black windows. It just...
Like the colonial look, or?
I just think everyone's doing white paneling and then black windows everywhere, like the black outline on the windows. It feels very California, and California has a different natural light than the East Coast. So it takes on really stark lighting here, and it doesn't feel warm and inviting. So that whole black and white trend, I really would like to go away. Yeah.
How does the experience differ from designing a bathroom versus designing a kitchen versus designing the whole home? And then do you have a particular favorite?
Yes, there's many difference. Anything with cabinetry or tile or something, it's very detailed. It's very specific, and you have to be on point. You can't be, if I bring a couch in and it's an inch or two too big, I have the room to play with. If my base cabinet is an inch or two too big, like it throws off the entire line. So kitchens are not my favorite. When that happens, I bring people in, I bring in kitchen designers, subcontractors, and we coordinate and we oversee, just because I think things like kitchen design needs multiple hands in the pot. It's a group project, designing the kitchen.
I'm surprised by that response, because I would have expected, to be honest with you, the kitchens to be one of the favorites. Just because I think most people spend the most time in their kitchen.
They do.
And I just thought that there'd be the most creativity inside of that, but
no.
I don't know. That's my opinion. So I was just curious.
It's like the least creative
Really?
in the
tell
kitchen.
me more.
Kitchen design, it's so technical because as I said, you can't be off inches or anything. Everything needs to line up, otherwise it throws off the entire project. Whereas, same thing with the bathroom. You really need to know your base cabinet sizes, because where the sink line is and determination to the toilet, if they're next to each other, it needs to be a certain amount of inches. There's all these little innuendos that need to be factored into bathroom design, whereas in living spaces like bedrooms, dining rooms, TV rooms, the design rules are less. I mean, I don't think there's any rules in design, to be honest, the way you design things, but
Well, you have less plumbing and less things like that.
you,
That like the plumbing set, you can't move that. You know, so if
right.
the sink is here, you know, and the dishwasher is here, like you kind of have they can't be off, like you said, which is an interesting point. You're right. Like if
No, I
there's not
mean,
much wiggle room.
right. If the sectional comes in like for some reason in a different size, but we still have space in the room, we can make it work. That's fine. But if the cabinet is set and spec'd at a 30 and it comes in a 48, like we don't have room for that. So that's why kitchen and baths are like a whole field in itself. But I love designing bathrooms. It's a lot of fun because I think I take into account like who's using it. Is it for relaxation? Is it for like busy kids in the morning? So we need like 2 sinks and we need multiple stations where they're doing their makeup. Like it's things like that I really enjoy.
What is your favorite room to design?
I really love living rooms and stuff like that. It's just fun. It's comfy, it's cozy. You can get really wonderful carpeting and then it just builds from there. It just
So you're still into carpets?
yeah.
I don't know. Carpets were pulled out for a long time.
Carpets are pulled out, but I really enjoy them in rooms that you can have them. Like it's great to have them if you're in New York City. I think it's wonderful to have a carpet in your bedroom. Like it's the best thing because it's sound absorption. It's so loud, you open the windows and it's just like an immediate sound absorption having carpet. So I really enjoy carpet. I really think you need soft surfaces. It's a whole building of acoustics and everything.
From my conversations with people in this industry, but also even my dad owns a construction company. So why do you think, from what I've heard and understand, there's a hesitancy to speak to or hire a interior designer, and there's an intimidation that they're scared to call?
I think the intimidation is that we are expensive, but cheap is expensive also, if you look at it that way.
I like that because like you have to redo something because it's cheap, right?
Yeah, because when
Yeah.
if it's not done right, you're like ripping things out, or you don't like how many times do you go to somebody's house and they said like, oh, I did this myself and I did it wrong, or like I wish somebody could direct me and everything. There's different packages and investment levels in which you can get into using someone like myself. You might hire me for a day to just do a refresh of your room. You might hire me for a project in the sense that you have a living room and it hasn't been renovated in a couple years and you want to do new flooring, new furniture, you'd like to do a new entertainment unit, you'd like to panel the ceiling, you'd like to wallpaper, like there's all these different components and we can do as much or as little. But I think the intimidation factor is that we're there to like blow this out of your investment level. And I think the problem is not everything should be done yourself. Like you should really invest in a designer to really, especially if you're doing a whole house. I think having someone come in and making it cohesive is really important too, because you could be working with different people in different stores and this person could be giving you some advice here, and then you're buying this whole series of furniture for this room, but then you go to another store and you're like buying all this furniture for another room, and they're not coordinating. When you hire someone, the whole concept of a designer, like you want to make it seamless. You want everything to blend together. I might use one color in the front foyer and then I might branch off with different colors throughout, lots of color throughout the rooms, but create the center hall neutral. And then you're going into each room and you're having kind of a different sensory experience because of the different colors. So I don't know if everyone would think to do that. I don't know if a contractor would think to do that. And I think it's a great thing to hire your designer before you have a contractor, not the other way around. Because so many times I get called that I have a contractor, he's given me a bid, and well, then I have to work in the parameters of what the contractor designed. And I might want to add a light fixture here. I might want to put wood floor there. I might want to do tile this wall. Like you're hiring me also for my creativity. and my different ideas. So doing that, it's always good to have me in first and have me onboarded first and then bring everyone else in.
So I think I want to add on to what you were saying, that I'm curious if that people are also intimidated because they don't know how pricing works and how the structure works, and they have a budget for their home, and let's just, for example, say like $100,000. Oh, I want to renovate, and I can spend $100,000 with it because they have that in cash or through a HELOC or anything like that. But then they don't know any idea of what your price is going to come at. So I'm curious if there's some sort of percent that you'd recommend people have like in the back of their mind before they even call.
No, and I say no because of the fact that if their budget is X, their budget might not be in correlation to what they can actually do. So say they have a budget of $100,000 and they want to do the entire home. Yes, it sounds like a lot of money, but at the same time, between materials, trade pricing, my pricing, contractors, like that gets eaten up very quickly. So there is not a set number in the sense of you can think about my design. I have kind of a number that I work with, like going in, but it's more so, it's so specific on, as I said, the scope of work I'm doing, like how much I'm doing. If I'm only like consulting and giving them paint colors, it might be like much less than if I'm picking out furniture and picking out paint colors, wallpaper, carpeting. If I'm doing full service interior design, it's much less than doing something where I'm coming in for a quick refresh for the day.
So I think another question that a lot of people have is when do they need a designer? Is there a job too small or a job too big? Like, when do you recommend people hire somebody like you?
In the beginning. In the beginning, when you're thinking about doing it, it's better to get us in there before you're taking down walls, before you're buying furniture. Like, I've come in after people have bought furniture. I've come in after people have bought couches that are too big, after they bought their own dining table, and then I've had to design the room around there. So I'm really in the parameters of, okay, this colorway is only going to work with so many different colors. So in the beginning, if you're thinking about doing anything, I think it's a really good, just for a consultation. I think, hey, do you think this would be a good idea? Hey, like, would this work? And then I could bring in like a contractor or a subcontractor and we could really talk about it more.
What does your process actually look like? Somebody hires you, you're doing a living room. You go back to your studio, and then what does that actually look like?
So I'm sourcing furniture. I'm choosing a bunch of different furniture. I'm doing floor plans, furniture placement. If I need to do anything in a living room that requires a subcontractor, whether it's millwork, if I'm designing an entertainment unit, if I need to add hi-hats, I'll call an electrician to get a quote on lighting. I'm doing any stones surrounded the fireplace. So there's a couple of components of that. So I'm sourcing furniture. If I have to call subcontractors, I will tell them, do a walkthrough there. And then I'll present about a design to the client, and then I might present some alternatives. But I present a design and then I'm getting their feedback on what they like about it, what they don't like about it. Maybe green is their least favorite color and I designed a whole room in the color green. So that conversation normally happens in the consult. Like, I'm understanding their likes and their dislikes, what they're using the space for. Go back, design it all, see them in a few weeks, present it to them. If they're happy with them, they approve the furniture, I'll move forward and order it. If they approve the designs for any of the subcontractors, we might order wood, we might do some stain samples, and then probably if there's construction, we get the subs in, and then after that, I've got a day where I install furniture. So I'll have normally one day where all the furniture comes in, or the carpets, the rugs, and then go from there, where we slowly wrap it up.
What project are you most excited about now, and why?
I'm very superstitious, so I don't want to say because I really want this job. But it would be the ski house, that if it does come to fruition, that would be really exciting.
on Long Island or
No.
like upstate in Vermont or something?
Are you skiing on Long Island,
No,
Jacob?
but I was like, you do a lot of North Shore work, so I was
I
like,
do. I'm mainly on the North Shore, but I have clients who have homes in other places, and I go where they need me to design. So this home is in a place where there are mountains, and I'll just say that. And it's really beautiful bones. It has like slate floors and 20-foot glass wall of windows of glass, and yeah, that would be super exciting. So I'm hoping that comes to fruition.
Yeah. So I like to wrap up every interview with this question that says, what's something that you wish you knew? What's something that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started out?
The answer that you are looking for is just one phone call away. And you would be surprised by picking up the phone and asking people. If you don't know something, like, just pick up the phone. Like, I've created a network of really fantastic, knowledgeable people around me. And the only way that I am doing what I'm doing is because I'm only as good as the people I bring into the job and the standards that I have. So if I have a question on anything, whether it's business or whether it's the distance of something, or if I can use this material, it's just a phone call away.
I really like that. I think that a lot of business owners would benefit from that. I think that there's a certain amount of humility that's required for that.
Yeah.
But I think that pride just gets in the way of a lot of business owners, and fear of like, oh, what are they going to think because I don't know this? And it's like, well, you don't, so just accept the reality.
You've got to eat your ego when you're in entrepreneurship. Like, yeah, you all want to look professional and everything, but at the same time, it's better to ask the question and like know what you're doing, and going into a meeting and knowing that like this is how this works, or we can do this, or we can't do this, than it costing a lot of money. Because in my industry, when something's wrong, it costs a lot of money.
Or time, and time is money.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Very interesting. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for taking the
Jacob.
time.